a script. Every great professional had models and systems that they use, whether it be a doctor, an attorney, or an actor or actress. Every presentation has a script, and it's not just whatever you want to say. The big bucks are earned by people that know what to say and when to say it.
Great. Anybody want to add to that?
Jackie. Yeah, I just want to add that when I first got a real estate license and I was told you got to learn what to say, here are the scripts, and you coached me in my first couple of years, I used to spend, I would say, probably an hour and a half to 2 hours a day chanting scripts. We teach that in bold. Just reading the scripts out loud, reading them out loud, role-playing, hours and hours every single day. And within 2 or 3 months of doing that every day, I knew the scripts. I didn't know how to say them. That's another story. Then you start learning how to deliver the script. I internalized the words, and I believe anybody on the call, if they put in the time, obviously they'll be able to do the same thing. And,
Right.
and I know that every house I sold and every appointment I set is because I knew what to say.
Great. So basically, scripts gives you what to say. Jeff, you want to add to that? Go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, I think what I'd like to add to it is it just makes you a couple of things. Number one, it shows that you're a professional. Number two, it makes your presentation and everything you do more efficient. You know, when you know what to say and how to say it, you're able to, you know, identify and listen and hear what the clients are asking for, and then you can deliver upon that. And when you can deliver upon what it is that they're looking for, you know, you're able to sell homes a lot quicker, faster, in the least amount of time. And I think that all of us here on the call can agree that we all want to make more money, and we want to do it without you want to do it effortlessly, right? And you want to do it quicker, and you want to be able to work less and earn more. And I think by learning scripts, this allows you to do that. Otherwise, you know, you just go on, and you're not professional.
Well, and Jeff, and here's one of the great things, Jeff and Jackie, you already know. When we first went out, you guys were lucky enough to have people around to tell you to use scripts. Here was my first script, as awful as it was. I know, and I can sell your house. That was my objection handler. So we don't like your price. I know, and I can sell your house. Well, what about this? I know, and I can sell your house. I mean, it was really awful. And it was my passion that got the listing, because someone told me the one with the most passion won. Well, it took me like 2 hours, and then I found that when you had the right words, and it happened because I read this story that actually Jerry Bresser wrote about a guy that went in to get employment at a club. It was a nightclub, and he was going to play the piano. The guy was interviewing 3 different people. Well, the first one came in, and he said, well, go ahead, sit down and play. And the guy played, and he did really good. And the guy said, oh, my gosh, I could hire this guy, and I wouldn't have to take the other 2 interviews. So he goes over to his assistant, and he goes, hey, look, let's just cancel the other 2 interviews and hire this guy. And they said, why would you do that when you have 3? Why don't you choose the best one? And so he said, okay, we'll get back with you. The second guy comes in, and he says, how many songs do you know? And he says, well, I can play over 300 songs. And he goes, well, play for me. Played a couple of them, and he goes, oh, my gosh, this guy's even better than the last guy. So he goes over to his assistant, and he says, hey, let's go ahead and cancel the last one and save us time. And the guy goes, no, you said 3, let's go for it. So the third one came in, and he said, how many songs do you know? And he said, well, that depends. Let me ask you a question. He said, who do you have that comes into your club at most of the time? And he said, well, it varies. On Monday night, we have an older crowd. And the guy goes, oh, you mean older, like, and then he plays songs for people that are in their 60s to 75. And the guy goes, well, yeah, that's pretty good. And he said, okay, who else comes in? And he goes, well, on Friday nights, we have a very young crowd. And he starts playing songs that people from 20 to 32 would know. And then he said, and here's some of the others I can sprinkle in. And he starts playing, and he said, so depending on the era, I know anywhere from 100 to 200 songs in every 10-year segment. Now, I got to ask you, it's not just about knowing scripts and dialogues. It's about knowing how many different ways can you handle the same objection. And I got to ask you, Tony, because you sold a lot of homes yourself, and all of us, when you got really good, I mean, when you had 10 different ways to handle an objection, how many times did you get that objection?
Never. Very seldom.
Never. They went away. Yeah. That's the confidence Jeff was talking about, and Jackie. And you guys were brilliant when you said, hey, when you know the scripts and dialogues, it just flows. You're a professional is what you said, Jeff. That's being professional. Delivering a script that lands on the person that speaks their language. That's why you got to know scripts and dialogues.
Great. So, anybody want to add to that? Okay, so what I want to do for the rest of the call, we've got approximately 50 minutes, is start going through some objection handlers. If you've got some objections you want to use, just there's a question box, just put them in the question box, and we'll see how many we can get to. And Diana, if you'll keep your eyes out for those, then you can use the objection handlers. So right now, the emphasis is on getting listings. So what I'd like to do is start off is handling some of the objections you get on listings. And of course, one of the top objections you're going to get at a listing appointment is, I want to think it over. So I'll role play with anybody that wants to handle, as you handle them, I'll role play with you, and then you'll have just one person to role play with. So who wants to start off with handling I want to think it over?
Okay, I will. That's great.
Okay, great. So, so Diana, we appreciate everything you've done. We like what you have to say, and we want to think it over, and we'll get back to you in the next couple of days.
You know, I can appreciate that. It sounds like this is a very important decision that you're making to list your home with me. Is that correct?
Yeah, we want to make sure we're doing the right thing.
Yeah, see, and I'm not here to pressure you into making a bad decision. What I am here to do is help give you enough information that you can make a good decision. And it sounds like you want to think it over and make the right decision. Is that correct?
Yeah, we just want to be sure we find the best realtor and the one that can get our home sold and get us the most money, really.
I see. So just out of curiosity, do I sound competent, like someone that can sell your home?
Oh, yeah, there's no doubt about that. We still want to think it over, though.
Yeah, no, I get that. Do I look like I understand the real estate business and the market that we're in?
Yes.
Do I look like the kind of person who will do what I say I will do?
Well, you have so far.
Right. So what else are you looking for in a realtor, and what specifically do you want to think over?
Well, we just want to be sure we're not making a quick decision without looking at everything we need to be thinking about.
Oh, I can understand that. Okay, so now I truly understand what you're looking for. You're afraid of making the wrong decision. Is that correct?
Yeah, well, that's it. Yep.
You know what frightens me about that? May I share?
Oh, yes.
Yeah, because see, after you start interviewing people over and over and over again, and you said you've already interviewed 2 agents, is that correct?
Yes. Yeah, we got a couple more to go.
So I'm the 3rd one. So you're going to interview 5 agents. And you've opened up your home, taken your time.
Yes.
And my concern is that by the 5th one, well, they may say something that I do that we didn't take time to discuss. And quite frankly, you're going to wear down. I mean, has there ever been a time in your life when someone just kept kept it up and kept it up and kept it up, and finally you just said, oh, go ahead and do it. I mean, you just got exasperated.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Yeah, well, see, that's at a weak moment. You make a bad decision, and you're about ready to enter into what I call a weak moment. After 3, I mean, obviously I'm sitting here tonight because the other 2 didn't work. So we know that I know how to sell homes, right? I mean, based upon my track record, I've shown I know how to sell a home, correct?
Correct.
And you want to sell your home, right?
Yes.
I've shown you that in the MLS, it showed where the average agent is obtaining 93% of the list price, and the same multiple listing statistics show me at 99.2% of the list price, and you do want to get the most money, right?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay, so now I've proven that I can sell your home. I've proven that I can get you more money than the average agent. And so what else do you need to think over?
Just, I guess probably not much.
Yeah, it sounds like you want the very best. Is that correct?
Yes.
Well, I'm sitting here. I wouldn't be where I am today without being one of the best. Now, here's the greatest thing about it. The longer you wait tonight, right now, there could be someone that's going to be going to bed that's looking for a home that has to buy, that has already looked at 22 other houses and haven't found what they wanted. And we could be in the multiple listing tomorrow morning, and their realtor could have it come up because it's a new listing. They call the people, they get excited, and they say, I got to see that house. Now, what happens if your home isn't there? See, by putting it off, you're actually losing out on buyers. So let's just do the right thing, knowing that I sell houses, knowing that I get the highest price, and knowing I can get the job done for you. You do want the job completed, right?
Yes, we do. Absolutely.
And don't wait for a weak moment. In fact, just go ahead and sign the contract. Now, if they won't, Tony, at that point,
they could say, well, we're still not quite sure. Is there anything else? I mean, we're still a little reluctant to sign tonight rather than spending some time contemplating.
Yeah, when this happens, it's generally because you don't want to cancel the appointment. You feel obligated to the other 2 people. Could that be the case?
Well, that's one. I'd like to hear what they have to say.
Right, so that's one. What's the other reason? Is it price?
You know, well, no. We should think it over. Maybe we shouldn't just be signing contracts without, really.
Well, you've been thinking it over all the time I've been here, Tony, because you've been comparing me to the other 2. So here's what I want to do. Once again, I'm not here to force you into making a bad decision. I'm here to give you enough good information. I am going to take a stand for what you want to obtain your goal. Okay. I don't want, at a weak moment, you ending up with a weak agent, because that can happen. And tonight, you said I look competent. You said I looked like someone, and that sounded like someone that understood real estate. Yep. You also said that you agreed with me that I got people at the right price. The multiple listing shows that I can't lie about those numbers. So I'm just curious. I think it's the fact that you're afraid to call them. And here's what I'll do. I've done this for many, many other people. I'll just pick up the phone. In fact, I'll do it in front of you if you choose. I'll call the other agents. And here's what you're going to do for them. You're going to save them the time of preparing like I prepared. You're going to give them back their time with their family. You're not going to steal their time. You're literally going to save them time. And if they come out and they don't get the listing, chances are they could have a bad taste in their mouth and not even bring a buyer by. And we want all the buyers we can get, right? Because that affects the price.
Yes.
So we definitely want the most buyers. So let me go ahead. I'll call them and say you liked them. You thought they were great. That's why you were going to go ahead and invite them out. And I convinced you to list with me tonight. therefore saving them the time, allowing them to be with their families, and if they have a buyer, go ahead and bring them back by. In fact, I'll even share my commission with them. So that way, everybody wins. Don't you want to be in a winning situation instead of putting yourself in a potential loss situation?
Yes, absolutely want to be in a winning situation.
Well, then let's just go ahead and win, Tony. I'm here. It's easy. We'll have it in the MLS tomorrow. We'll have the sign delivered tomorrow, and we'll be on our way to getting you one step closer to the move that you choose.
Okay, great. Let's do that. So, Jeff, Jackie, you want to add anything to that? Great job. Thank you.
Wow, that was brilliant. It's not easy to add something to it. What I wanted to add is when I was pre-qualifying an appointment, a question that I always like to ask when obviously we ask, are you planning on interviewing other agents? Whether they say yes or no, I like to ask. So tell me, what specifically are you looking for in the agent that you will hire? Because they'll tell you, I'm looking for A, B, and C. And then I could say, great. So when we meet, if I show you that I can deliver A, B, and C, will you be ready to go ahead and hire me? So I know what is it that they're looking for, and we teach this. Diana teaches us this in Bold. When you make a great presentation, closing is very easy. So by knowing what they're looking for and delivering it, when you ask for the signature, they're ready to go. So
that's a great point.
Yeah.
Okay, so Jeff, I think what we've all been taught too is think it over an objection or in a stall too, you know, from that standpoint.
Yeah, I think that, you know, ultimately, you know, I always want to determine what it is and why they want to think it over. So I might just ask and say to them, it's very common.
Let's role play it. Okay.
Go ahead.
Go ahead and
yes.
roll.
Yep.
So I want to think it over, Jeff. We're not sure we're ready to make a decision tonight.
No, I understand, Tony. And then the decision you're making is based upon that you want to make sure you're hiring the right agent, right?
Yes.
Yeah, and you just want to feel comfortable that you're making that right choice because this may be one of your biggest financial you know, transactions you'll have this year. So I understand that you want to think it over. And Tony, you know, three minds, and obviously you're here with your wife, and I mean, three minds are better than two. And tell me, what is it that you'll be thinking about?
Well, we just want to be sure we're making the right decision. I don't want to hire the wrong realtor and then regret that decision.
I understand. So you don't want to go ahead and regret it down the road. And tell me, when will you have known that you've made the right decision? Or what is it about the agent you're choosing that you'd like to see that I haven't been able to provide today?
Well, I mean, it's not, there's nothing you haven't provided. We just want to be sure we're going to get the right agent. I mean, you demonstrated a lot of what we're looking for is, you know, we just want to be sure that there's nobody else out there that could give us even more.
Sure. Yeah, so there's some uncertainty that you're having in your mind that you just want to make sure that I'm the right guy, right? And there could be someone else that could provide something more, right? And so I was able tonight to be able to show you, I've been able tonight just to show you our track record and what we do, right? And so obviously you realize that we're the top agent in the marketplace and we sell a home quicker than most agents, and that is what you want. You want an agent that can provide the exposure to the home and ultimately sell it quicker, faster, net you more money with the least amount of headaches. That is definitely what you want though, right?
Yes.
Okay, good. And I've gone ahead and demonstrated that to you already, correct?
Yes.
Okay, good. And you want an agent like, I'm certain, obviously, I don't need to tell you, but you want an agent that's going to be able to help you guide yourself along and make some decisions, right? That's somebody who you want.
Yes.
Is that
absolutely.
Right? Good.
Yes.
So, Tony, here's what I'm going to ask you to do, okay? Because I want you to consider this. If I was working with you as a buyer and representing a seller, and someone was very interested in buying your home, you certainly would want me as an agent to be able to get the buyer to make a decision to write an offer on your home, right? You would want me to be able to guide that buyer along, provide the information to that buyer to help them go ahead and buy your home. You'd want an agent to help that buyer do that, right?
Yes.
Good. And so I'm going to help you do the same thing today. I'm going to go ahead and ask you to go ahead and sign the agreement tonight. And then what we're going to do is write in here that you and I both can just agree that if I'm not that right agent, you sleep on it. with no pressure after 24 hours so that you can feel comfortable, and then I'll just call you in the morning and you can tell me, you know what, simply tell me yes or tell me no. If you tell me no, I'll rip up the contract. You have no obligation. But if you go ahead and sleep on it tonight after signing it, I already have it, and I can start beginning all of our marketing on your property immediately. So why don't you go ahead and do this? Sign the contract. I'll write in here it's contingent upon your decision within 24 hours. I'll call you at 9 in the morning. Fair enough?
How will I know you'll tear it up if I decide not to?
Because I'll rip it up and drop it back off to you personally.
Okay.
All we need to do now is just simply, all we need now is simply just sign the contract. Allow me to help you get what you want in your time frame. Fair enough?
Fair enough.
Okay, I'm the right guy.
Okay.
Tony, that script is in bold about having them go ahead and sign the contract that evening, and then you'll rip it up the next day. Now, here's the interesting part. We do have people on the phone that are saying, I don't have a track record like you guys do. Use the statistics of the MLS. Use the statistics of your market center. Because, see, here's the interesting part about Keller Williams. Because when I happened to be with another company and then moved over to Keller Williams, people would say, Keller who? Now, we don't have that problem in many areas right now. It was like starting over, per se, other than with my past clients. And so when I went out, and as a brand new agent, this is what you can do as well. See, you know, when they say, how long have you been in the business, or you don't have a track record, or whatever they want to say, you can say, I haven't been in that long, and here's the greatest part about that. See, let me ask you, have you been, how long have you been in your employment? And they say, 8 years. And you go, great. Do you have as much passion today as you had the very first day? I mean, be honest. And they go, not really. I'm still very passionate. And I go, no, you are. I get that. And yet, see, here I am. I'm new. I'm eager. I have passion. And quite frankly, I have a lot of time to spend. Now, the greatest part of that is there's many agents out there. They're in a company where they give away a plaque every month. And the people want to win the plaque. They love the recognition. And they're literally wanting you to not sell a home because then they sell a house, they win the plaque. Now, at Keller Williams, we're different. We have a profit share. So the fact of it is that when I sell a home, everybody can win. Now, the greatest part about that is you've got my enthusiasm and my availability of time coupled with the wisdom of all the other people in the market center. You're not just putting me to work tonight like if I were with a traditional company. You're putting all 146 or 552 or whatever numbers in your market center to work for you. And you do understand leverage because you're a great business person. So just go ahead and leverage me. Leverage my time and get the benefit of the passion and the experience. So go ahead and sign the contract. So when I say 93% in MLS, you can use that and then use the market center statistic for the other because you can borrow other people. So never worry about being brand new. You got the passion to take it.
That's a great point. And Jackie and Jeff both. Jackie, you said something many, many years ago on a call that you were doing, and you just said something about your belief system, and that was even before you were, selling as many homes as you were. What was your belief system at the very beginning?
Yeah. Well, I made up a story, and in both Diana teaches us about the drunk monkey, which is just a story in our head. I made up a story that I am the best agent in my marketplace for any seller to hire. And I grew into that story because we know how we create a new belief. We think about something again and again and again and again. We teach all this in bold. So I had no reason to actually believe that story when I initially made it up. And what it did for me growing into that belief is it gave me a lot of confidence when I really didn't have it. And what I think the biggest thing in handling objections is practice and practice so that you don't hesitate. If you don't know what to say, we heard Diana and Jeff do a lot of repeating and approving, asking a lot of questions, because even if you don't know what to say, when you do that, and there's no hesitation, something is going to come out of your mouth. If you're practicing enough, you will know what to say. So I think for me, believing that I am the best agent for any seller to hire is really what propelled my real estate career, because I think that any agent who creates that belief becomes unstoppable.
Great. And Jeff, I know you when you first got into real estate, your competitiveness, how did you use your competitiveness to compete, even though when you weren't as skilled as you would? How did you use that competitiveness inside you to win the listing when you first started going on listing appointments?
Well, I guess a couple of things. One is, when I first started, there was agents that were clearly better than me, and it wasn't that I wasn't as good, or let's say they were better because they were more experienced. It's just I wasn't better, I was different. And why I was different was, number one is I'm competitive by nature, and I never gave up. And I was very persistent. I was very consistent and persistent, where if I had a lead, I would follow up and follow up and follow up and follow up until either they hung up on me more or less, or I got the appointment, right? And those that appreciated the follow-up would allow me to beat the competition. So that was one of the edges that I had, I think, when I got into the business. And then secondly was, I was young, and at the time, and this is 1992, and the first company I went and interviewed with, which later on brought me back a week later, there's two owners of the company. One said yes, one said no. The one that said no said he's just too young. They weren't hiring 19-year-old kids out of high school back then. It wasn't normal, or it wasn't common, let's say. And so, when I would show up to the listing appointments, I was very young. They were looking for my father, right? They were like, well, who are you? And I would lose listing appointments in the beginning because, one, I didn't know what to say, how to say. I didn't know the objections. I was going on my personality, I thought, as a young kid, and I was probably a little more cocky. I don't know. But ultimately, I didn't have the experience. But what I learned quickly was I had to get very good over the phone, and so that I could pre-qualify and speak the language of sales, being able to handle the objections, learn the presentation over the phone, so that when I did show up, 80% of the time, 90% of the time, they were already convinced I was the right guy. Now, my appearance itself was when I showed up, was young, but I was already to sell them over the phone, and so I had to learn very quickly to beat the competition. I had to get very good on the presentation side over the phone, getting the appointment.
Great. Good point.
Tony, one thing that I love what Jeff just said, and Jackie was very good at this. She used to play the hang-up game, as you know. Yeah. They either hung up on her, or she got an appointment. And I think the words I would write down on this is never give up. See, my dad taught me when I went into a house that they have my money in their pocket. Don't leave without your money. That's actually in Think and Grow Rich, the story about the little girl that gets the money from a guy that doesn't want to pay her. And she won't give up. He even takes a horse whip out, and he holds the whip up like he's going to whip her. And she just stepped up closer and said, give me the money you owe. And he reached in his pocket and gave the money. And that Think and Grow Rich taught me, why would you give up? Now, I know there are times, very few, that people go to a house and they leave, and then the person calls them back to list the home. And I got to tell you, it is so few. Would you go to agree with me?
Oh, yeah.
Absolutely.
Our affirmations, my affirmation a lot of times in our team is, we're walking up to the door, we're saying to ourselves, we're not coming back, we're not coming back, we're not going to, like virtually, our goal is we have one shot, this is shot only, and for some reason we don't get it signed that day because of whatever it is that's going on, it's in our mind like 80% chance that we're just not going to get it. So we go really strong, really hard, we go for the close, and make it work. It's just, we know that when we leave, it's just most likely not going to happen.
Good.
It's kind of like when
Diana.
Go ahead.
Go ahead.
No, I was just going to say that over the phone, when we make a phone call to, and I'm going to say FSBOs and expired because obviously that's where we get more objections than if you're calling your past client. It's the same mindset. It's when you say play the hang-up game, right? It's now or never, because what we focus on expands. And if we focus on, I'm making a call expecting that I'm going to get a lead, I'll get a lead. If I expect to get an appointment, I'll keep going until I get an appointment. And that's how we improve our closing ratios over the phone and in person.
Right.
Yes, and it's, go ahead.
Go ahead, Diana.
Well,
Go
I
ahead.
just want to put a visual in their mind. Whether you go hunting or not, it doesn't make it good or bad. I know people that say, oh, I couldn't do that. Well, in many years ago, that was the only way people would eat, right? So think back in the days when they had to run out and they had to shoot an elk or whatever, you know, a deer or whatever. They had to survive. They had to shoot a rabbit. They had to shoot a pheasant. They couldn't eat without doing that. They had one shot. And I know that a shotgun goes pretty big, and yet they still only had one shot. So I want to give you that visual, that you've got to go in and you've got to take the listing. They are at a yes when you walk through that door. They would never let you in their house if you weren't at a yes. And make certain that they don't outsell you when they're there, because one of you is the better salesperson.
Right.
I'm either going to go down working at getting that listing and leave without it, or I'm going to get that listing. And I'm going to stay as long as they let me stay, and I never got thrown out of a house. How about you guys? Did you ever get thrown out of a house? I never did.
It's never happened to me either.
No,
Great.
so that's the best part.
Great. Okay, so let's go into some more objection handling. The big one on listings is going to be, will you cut your commission? So who wants to start with that one? Since Diana, you started first, Jeff or Jackie, who wants to handle that one? Hello?
Yeah, I can handle it, Tony. So I would start by repeating and
So I would just
approving.
start. Let's role play it. Let's role play it.
Yeah.
So Jackie,
Okay.
will you cut your? We just don't. Well, we'd list with you. We just don't want to do it at 6%.
Yeah, and Tony, I understand what you're saying, because from your perspective, you're looking at it thinking, well, the agent that you're going to hire is going to have an impact, and the commission you pay is going to impact your bottom line, right?
Well, of course, that's how it works.
Yeah, I completely understand. Tony, just out of curiosity, have you talked to any other agents that offered to list your property at a lower commission?
Yes.
Yeah, and if I may, Tony, can I share with you why that concerns me?
Yeah, because you'd have to do the same thing, I bet. But
Well, see, Tony, here's what happens. The agent that you hire is the person who's going to represent you in all of the conversations with the buyers and the agents who are representing the buyers. So your agent is the one that has to stand up for your price and be able to get you the highest possible price for the property, which obviously it's what you're looking for, right?
Yes, yeah, the highest price is definitely what we're looking for.
Exactly. And so when you think about it, Tony, if an agent is not confident enough to defend their own commission and they're willing to give up their money just to get your listing, is that who you believe will actually be able to negotiate the highest price on your property?
I never thought of it from that standpoint. Probably not. Yeah.
Yeah. Tony, I have the experience, the confidence, and the ability to get you the highest possible price for your home, so we don't leave any money on the table. So let's go ahead and do the right thing and get the contract signed so I can get you the most money possible.
Great. Okay. Perfect. So who wants to continue on that one? Because you know they're going to say, yeah, and, or yeah, but. So who wants to do the yeah, but part?
So there is a person that said, what happens if the person says, I have an agent who will charge 1%. So I wanted to get their objection in there. And so I would say, Tony, other than that, is there any other reason that you wouldn't list your home with me tonight?
Well, they're willing to do it for 1%. You want 6%.
Right. So, Tony, has there ever been a time in your life when you paid less for something and found out that you got exactly what you paid for?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, it sounds like you were a little disappointed, right?
Yeah, I thought it was a good deal, and it didn't turn out to be a good deal.
Well, Tony, this time is like that time. May I explain?
Yes.
See, many agents take a lesser commission because they haven't been taught negotiation skills. You're placing one of the most expensive possessions into the hands of someone that has proven to you that the best sales tactic and negotiations that they have is to lower the price. And if they lower the price to sell your house, then they won't be able to save any money. In fact, you could lose money, right?
Yes, so.
I mean,
Sure.
let me just ask you a question. You lived in the era when Henry Kissinger did the negotiations for the United States, correct?
Yes.
Do you think he was the least expensive negotiator?
No.
Why do you think they hired Henry Kissinger?
He was good at what he did.
And they paid him more, right?
Yes.
So what you're saying is less isn't sometimes more price. Less is actually less price. I mean, they hired him and paid him a high price because they got what they wanted, didn't they? Because they hired him over and over again.
Yes.
Yeah. So just like all my other sellers that I've helped, they hired me because I was the Henry Kissinger. I know how to negotiate on your behalf. So if you're like my many other sellers, you will choose a bulldog like me that will watch your money as much as I watch mine, that won't cave in and have that be the only negotiation skill that they have. So hire a great negotiator. After all, that's what price is all about, right?
Yep.
Yeah, so all you need to do now is just simply sign the contract so we can get you one step closer to getting what you want and the price you want. Won't that be great?
That'll be great.
Perfect.
Jeff, you want to add anything to that? Because I know you get a lot of that too. So.
Yeah, I mean, I love that, you know, how everyone hears, you know, both Jackie and Dinah's taking it. I mean, you know, same thing. I think that, you know, we use several different ways, but if we're going to say, you know, so Tony, what I'm hearing you say is you just want to net the most money out of the sale of the home, right?
Yes. Yep. I want to put the most money in my pocket as I can. And
Sure. No, and I don't.
Reducing the commission, I get more money.
Certainly that it would. If you reduce the commission itself, it'll bring more money to you, and I understand that. And is it that you interviewed another agent and they said they would do it for less? Is that what happened here? Another agent mentioned that they'd be willing to go ahead and cut the commission. Is that correct?
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, they're willing to do it for 1%, and then your commission is 6%.
Yeah, certainly. And 5%, right? It's a lot of money, 5%, right?
Right.
No, I understand that. And I'm curious, when you asked the other agent to cut their commission as you're doing me, how long did it take them to negotiate?
They just said they would do it for 1%. In fact, they
Exactly.
came in offering that as their unique opportunity to list with them. Why I should list with them?
Right, certainly. So when you asked them, they pretty much just caved in right away, bent over, and kind of just more or less said, "Yeah, I'm willing to go ahead and do that and take all the money out," right? And
right.
So it really was pretty easy to get them to negotiate their own fee, right?
Right.
Yeah, no, I can appreciate that. And see, Tony, when you guys go ahead and decide to hire me, I'm the agent that's going to be able to negotiate on your behalf and stand up and defend the price we have on your home. And so when we go ahead and list it tonight at $499.9, see, I'm going to go ahead and get you that price. And at $499.9, when we go ahead and sell it for that, we're going to go ahead and get you 100%, if not very close to that price. Therefore, we're going to net you more money after the sale of your home. And the reason why we're going to net you more money is that our track record right now in this market, we're selling a home quicker and faster, and we're selling a home right now at 98.7% of list price, where the average agent in the market is at 92%. So yes, that other agent might go ahead and tell you they're willing to sell it right now for less. I understand that. And yet you haven't even paid them anything. See, when you hire me, I'm going to net you 7% more in the sale of your home. And 7% on $500,000 is $35,000. Now, Tony, you could use an extra $35,000, correct?
Yes.
Exactly. And if I was to sell your home at $499.9 at a price we've already agreed on, you certainly would be happy at that price, correct?
Yes.
Good. So let's go ahead and sign that contract so I can net you more money in the least amount of time, and I can get you $35,000 more. That's why you're going to hire me. Fair enough?
Fair enough.
Good.
Great.
Go ahead and sign the contract.
Yep. Okay. So just wanted to throw in 1.2 is when they say it's at 1% and it's a 6% commission. Also, we have to remind them that
the other realtor gets part of it.
Yeah. So it's really only a 2%. It's only a 2% reduction.
Okay, so here's one of the things that we could also say to them, Tony, because I think this is the sport of listing. This is the sport of real estate. This is what got my blood flowing, quite frankly. I didn't like the ones that you just walked in and took the listing. Anybody could do that. I wanted the sport. And so I think it's fun to debate and to negotiate and see if you can actually get them the right price, get them to sign with you. And so I really love the fact, and I want to stress to make certain, so other than that, is there any other reason you wouldn't list with me tonight? Because you got to isolate that objection. Otherwise, they could come up with 15 other things and just keep you going, right? So I love that we're all doing that, and I wanted to make certain that they heard that. Here's one that came up. It says, I'm not ready to list because I know my home will sell fast and I don't see anything I want to buy on the market today.
Okay, who wants to handle that one? Anybody jump in? Hello, hello.
Jack.
Okay,
go ahead, Jack.
Go ahead, Jeff. Go ahead, Jeff.
Okay, let Jackie go on this one. She's better. This is better in her market.
Okay.
Yeah, so I would say, so Tony, it sounds to me like you've been looking at properties already. Is that correct?
Yes, we've been looking around a little bit and haven't found anything, and everybody's telling us how fast houses are selling, and I just don't, I don't want to be homeless.
Tony, and just out of curiosity, have you been looking at properties with an agent, or you've just been on your own, kind of walking into open houses and looking around on the internet?
Mostly on our own, and we went out one day with a realtor, and a couple of houses that we were going to look at were already sold, so we're very concerned about.
Yeah.
We don't want to be without a home. We don't want our house to sell and not have any place to go.
Right, absolutely. You don't want to be homeless, right, Tony?
Right.
I understand that. Tell me a little bit about what type of property are you looking for, Tony?
We're looking for.
You could go blah blah blah. Yeah,
blah blah blah.
Yeah. So I'm going to ask questions so they understand. You understand. You feel like I'm interested. Okay. And then I say, and Tony, here's the good news. I am an expert in this market, and most of my clients are in the same situation that you're in. They have a house to sell, and when that house sells, I have to negotiate the purchase of the new home and make it happen simultaneously so they're not homeless. And Tony, I've helped over 120, 30 sellers like you, homeowners like you, sell and buy a house year after year, and I have never had a homeless client yet. So I can assure you, Tony, that you're not going to be the first one. I know the market well, and I'll be able to negotiate the closing date and the sale of your property so we can make it work with the purchase of your new home. So let's go ahead, and obviously you've got to sell this home in order to buy the next one. First you got to sell this one, right, Tony?
Yeah. We can't buy without this one being sold. So we're
exactly
kind of in a catch-22, and maybe we just don't do anything.
Yeah.
kind of
Well,
our concern.
and Tony, let me just assure you that you are hiring the right agent. I have enough knowledge of this market and experience with all of my clients to make sure that we sell your home for the most money possible and we find that perfect home for you and your family. Let's go ahead and get started.
Great. Okay. Diana, you want to add anything to that one?
Sure, I'll go ahead and role play it with you, so go ahead and start off.
Okay, so Diana, you know, we're ready to sell. Our biggest concern is we don't want to be without a house. You know, we don't want to get this thing sold because it looks like you're showing us everything is selling quickly. We've been told by people that the market is, everything is selling and there's nothing to buy, and so we're very concerned about being homeless. So, so maybe we'll just wait or maybe we can go buy first and then sell, or, you know, I just don't want to be homeless.
No, I appreciate that. I don't want you to be homeless either. In fact, a lot of my sellers that I've dealt with like this, Tony, I've said, you can stay at my house. And quite frankly, I've never had anyone stay at my house, and I want you to have a home. So here's what I'm curious about. You said that you've looked at other houses, that you've looked with realtors and you've driven around and you really haven't seen anything that you like. Right. So let's just say that, number one, have you worked with a realtor like me that actually has a speakeasy book of all the properties that they look at?
No, I don't know what you mean.
Okay, well, let me show you my speakeasy book. I bring it with me all the time, and every property that I have looked at and my buyer's agents have looked at are in this book. And you can see there's hundreds of properties. It shows, let's just out of curiosity, how many bedrooms are you looking for?
4 bedrooms.
Okay, and how many baths?
2.5 baths, 2 3/4.
And garage square footage, I'd go through all that. And then I'd say, well, look, right here, there's 5 houses right there that could potentially work. Now, here's the reason so many people decide to choose me. Because, frankly, I find out neighborhoods, I find out what you want, and I've knocked on a lot of doors and actually found a house for my people. Now, I got to ask you, let's say that you do decide to sell your home and you place it on the market with me. So we put a sign out there, and wow, right away, it sells. It's great. There's a couple of things that we can do. We can make it contingent upon you finding and contracting the right home. So you're not out of your house unless you find a house. That sounds pretty good, right?
Mm-hmm.
Another thing we could do is we could make it contingent upon you being able to rent your home back for so many months to find the right home. That's another option. Now, you just told me that homes were selling fast, correct?
Mm-hmm.
So let's say that perfect home comes on the market. And you said, well, maybe we buy before we sell. Do you really want to do that? Because we can. Do you have the money to place down on the home and have double payments?
No, can't do that.
Can't do that. So let's just say we put your home on the market tonight. And all of a sudden, a contract comes in. In fact, 5 contracts come in. And one has never been to a lender. Doesn't even know what they can qualify for. The second one, well, they talked with a lender. They haven't been qualified. And the third one is a cash buyer. Which one would you take?
Cash buyer, of course.
Cash buyer, right. So, well, let's say a fourth one comes in and they have a contingency upon a home to sell. You don't know what their house is like. You don't know if their home is going to sell. You have nothing. I mean, they may price it out of the market and it never sells. And if you take that contract, then you're stuck, right?
Right.
So you don't want a contingency contract.
No, not at all.
Okay, so you don't want a contingency contract. You don't want a contract with someone that hasn't spoken with a lender that won't qualify. You want a cash buyer. So let's think about this. Tonight, we list your home, and it sells. And we take, now you're a buyer that can actually buy. You're serious and you're in a hurry, right?
Yes.
And the right home is out there, which I'll find for you. And now we take you to a lender right now. We make certain that you qualify and literally have your loan in place so you're a cash buyer. Do you think they might take a little bit less on the other side, knowing that you don't have a contingency because your home is sold and you're a cash buyer to them?
Yeah, depends how many offers they have. They may.
Yeah, so I got to ask you. Well, you just said out of 5 offers, you'd take the cash offer, so we know that works. So I got to ask, do you want to save money?
Yes.
Do you want a quick sell so your carpet doesn't get worn out by having so many people in?
Yes.
Okay. And you don't want to be homeless, right?
Right.
So why don't we go ahead and do the right thing? Let's list your home tonight. Put it on the market with a contingency. That's up to me. Meantime, I've got all the criteria. I'm going to go through that speakeasy book because there's so many things in it and make certain that we find the houses. And I'm going to guarantee to you that if I don't find them, I'm going to have my buyer's agents and myself. We'll be out there scouring to find the right listing for you. So when it comes on the market, you're prepared to buy. Doesn't that sound great? I mean, then you have the best of both worlds.
Yep, sounds great.
Okay. So all of the different things that people say, Tony, it's a matter of, it's easier when you're in front of them, and I know you guys will agree. I don't take a lot of listings over the phone. I know, Jeff, that you do. When I know the people or I know the property, yes. Yet when you see their body language, you know when they start leaning forward. You know when you can stop. We're giving you enough that you don't have to use all of this. You won't have to use it all because you'll be able to see what's working and what's not and make it shorter and more to the point. So I think the biggest thing is I know people want to have the right script. I know you want to take listings. The desire is there. And I can appreciate that you want to know the right things to say. So listen to this over and over and over again. I think we have time for one more here.
So what I'd like to do, Diana, is, Jeff, what are some thoughts you would like to leave everybody with regarding scripts and dialogues and consistency? So tell me, because you're one of my examples when I speak, when was the last time, what date has it been since you missed the day of lead generation?
September 11th, 2001.
September 11th, 2001.
Yes, sir.
So Jeff hasn't missed a day of lead generation in basically 16 years. So I just want to talk, when he said I'm consistent, I just want to let you know he's also consistent in his lead generation. So,
and Tony, the other part is, do they know and remember what happened on that day?
Right.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
So one parting thought, because we're running out of time.
Yeah. So I guess a couple things is obviously once you learn the objections and you feel comfortable with them, ultimately, like you said earlier, Tony, you don't get them as much. It's almost that like when you know that somebody's a black belt, you don't mess with them, right? You would never want to throw a punch at that person. So, and the client on the other side, or if you're presenting to them in person, they can feel that. They know your confidence, and that's what it's all about, is the confidence and the way you carry yourself. When you know what to say and how to say it, you end up not getting them. One last thing I want to add on with regards to objection handling, it's very, very important. I think that we need to just add in is to always agree and then always agree, align, and redirect. Okay, too many of us think when starting out or don't know what to say is you start to argue, and you start to get in this combative. Well, why is that? And you start asking these questions that starts to create conflict, and then you get shut down. So I always want to just leave it with that. When you handle objections, the very first thing I think we need to look at is always agree. That makes sense. That's a valid concern. I understand. These type of responses, and agree, align, redirect.
Great. Thank you.
Okay, there's two things I want to say. Number one, take the language of sales. We have another one starting late April. When you learn the language patterns that all three of us have been using, and Tony, you used them as well, then it works because you know what to say and what to do. I also want to leave them with the fact that professional selling is not something we do to people. It's something we do for people so they accomplish their goals. We are there to help them accomplish their goals, not our goals of getting the listing, helping them get their goals to sell their home. And as we all say, don't leave without the listing. And for buyers, this person said, you said nothing for buyers. For a buyer agent, here's the best script you got. What kind of a salesperson do you want to represent you to buy a home? Someone who understands the problem, has solutions, and spends 100% of their time working with buyers, or someone who works with buyers, sellers, and everyone in between? You want my kind, right? So let's go ahead and sign the representation so I can get started today.
Yeah, and here's the best script for buyer agents. Do you want to buy this house? And just ask it every time you show a house. They'll buy a house. Jackie, one thing you want to add that you'd like to leave everybody with?
One thought that I was having, I say to my clients that handling objections is like painting a picture, and that's what Diana did so brilliantly on the call today. It's not that you just say one thing and you're done. She asked so many questions and get them enrolled. So it's in stages, and then you're leading them to where you want them to sign the contract or get the appointment. So, and this is all learned skills. This is not anything that, you know, I would imagine, Diana, that you weren't born knowing how to speak like this. I certainly wasn't, and Jeff wasn't either. It's practice, 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 right?
Yes.
Exactly.
Yep. A lot of time and a lot of practice. So I want to thank Jeff, Jackie, Diana. Thank you very much for being on the call. Thank you for giving everybody the opportunity to hear some great objection handlers and some great information on scripting. And again, I want to thank everybody that was on the call. Like Diana said, listen to it over and over and over. Listen to the most skilled people in this company doing objection handlers at a level that once you get there, you'll have a tremendous business and a tremendous opportunity to list a lot of houses. Go ahead, Diana.
One more thing. The bold success scripts, they're for sale on the KW store. If you're concerned, there's hundreds of scripts there with the objection handlers and pricing and buyer stuff. I mean, just buy the bold scripts. I forget. I think they're like $50 or something. Okay. Well worth it.
Okay. Thank you, everybody. Make it a great day. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Thank you, Tony.
Thanks. Okay,
bye. Thanks, guys.
Thanks, Jeff. Thanks, Diana. Bye-bye.